A Shalom, Barak Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Chakwadash, the ones of the apostles, bishops, elders of great millstone, and Shalom to brothers in the highways and byways, doing the work sincerely and faithfully and continually fighting that good fight of faith, Lord willing. We found that number to be delivered. All right, so I'm gonna get right on into it. You have a lot of scoffers and scorners who have made this their primary mission to try to debunk, expose, outsmart, whatever they possibly can do when it comes to this thing of ours. And again, this thing of ours is precious. We defend it. That's why the scriptures say defend the gospel. And you got all these Johnny-come-latelys who just decide that they're gonna jump on the thing that's trending throughout the world. And most people don't have any they don't have any real concern about what we do and what this thing is about. All right, they're seeing an opportunity to gain some content for their page, to gain viewers, because this YouTube thing, based on how many users you have and how many subscribers, you can actually make a little lucrative living off this thing. All right, so therefore they're just jumping in. They see some action, they want a piece of it. But little do they know, try to get a piece of this action, is going to be detrimental to themselves. All right. So let's start off with John 3:12. It says, "If I have told you earthly things and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you heavenly things?" All right. And this is where we come to the cross in the road here. So I was watching Elder Apostle Gabar's video concerning Deuteronomy chapter 20 and 36 about who that king was. And again, he who have ears to hear, let him hear, which is also another phrase that's a stumbling block to you people, because you truly don't understand what you're involved in once you start tampering and coming around, trying to, make comments and make videos and prove a point. You don't understand what you're involved in. All right. Now, granted, there are a lot of groups out there who themselves don't even understand what they're involved in. You see, this is why, you got to walk very wisely and very circumspectly when you get involved with this thing. You can't just be out there winging shit and bullshitting. All right. So that being said, the king that is speaking of is King Masha, right? Who's King David. But I'll say this, when we learned this years ago and the apostles taught it years ago, it was received, and it never for 1 minute sounded, it didn't sound off. It didn't sound like something didn't make sense. It was perfect. It fit, because the spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai allowed us to receive the things that were being taught. You see? Now, going back to what we have today, these scoffers and scorners, they're not going to believe our report. And truthfully, they don't want to believe it. If they can create some type of platform to get a debate going, or to get subscribers to come on and voice their opinion of how disgusted they are with the black Hebrew Israelites, they're all for it, man. But you guys got to remember, you people got to remember, this internet thing ain't going to be too much longer. All right? The Lord's going to shut this shit down. So let's continue on. Let me get this here. This is Matthew chapter 11 and verse 15, right? Concerning, as it is written, "He that have ears to hear, let him hear." All right, and I may mention earlier that this is also a stumbling block. As simple as it may seem, when you look at that last word "hear," it's not for the hearing of one that may, hear something. It's for one to understand something. All right? And even some of the bullet point definitions will tell you that.
Strong's G 191. Akuo. Akuo.
Akuo. Okay? Akuo. And let's look at some of the definitions on akuo. It says, to be endowed with the faculty of hearing, not deaf to hear, to attend to, consider what is or has been said. One of the key points, to understand, perceive the sense of what is said. All right? Again, when you hear the term, he who have ears to hear, let him hear, it's basically saying those who hear the words that are speaking understand the words that is being spoken. And if you go out there in the world today, going to these, these YouTube guys and the content maker people, and you start breaking some spiritual things down to them, they're not going to be able to hear it. They're not going to be able to understand it because it wasn't meant for them in the first place, and nor do they want to understand it because it's not what they believe in. All right? Jump down to the fifth one because they all make sense. The fifth one, to comprehend, to understand. So when something is being said to you, you comprehend it, especially things of the heaven, of the spiritual sense. A lot of people lack that spiritual understanding. This is 1 Corinthians 2:14. It says, but the natural man receiveth not the things of the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. All right? And this is why guys like Vocab Malone and Billy and whoever else they are, they don't have the spiritual understanding. The Lord didn't give them the ability to understand these things, the spiritual things, man. And this is why we started off with John 3. It says, if I have told you earthly things and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things, which is spiritual things? See, it's all a game. It's all fun and games for you people. You want to laugh and make mockery and just try to make us look like we don't know what we're talking about, which is fine, because this is what a man of the Lord goes through. He's ridiculed, he's scoffed at, he's laughed at, he's blamed. All right? We were already warned of these things to come. So therefore, we don't marvel at when people, get stupid and talk shit. We don't marvel at that. As a matter of fact, we implore it. Bring it on. Because it just solidifies that we are the men of the Lord. Okay? But all that being said, they did the same thing to Yahweh Shai. When these guys get on their little podcasts and their little content videos, they make it seem like, oh, these guys profess themselves to be prophets. And again, even the word prophet, people hear it and they think, oh, how dare these guys say they're the prophets? We're just saying we're saying things that happen before they happen. Basically, things that are going to happen, we say it. But because, we don't look the part, because we're not under any 501c3 tax statute, all right? Because we're not wearing fancy clothes and decked out garments, we can't be those guys. But like I said, they did the same thing Yahweh Shai. They were like, what was this? Isn't this the carpenter's father? Let's get it. This is Matthew 13. Now started off 53. It says, and it came to pass that when Yahweh Shai had finished these parables, he departed thence. And when he was come to his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, inasmuch that they were astonished, and said, whence have this man this wisdom in these mighty works? Is not this the carpenter's son? All right, so right there, they're downplaying him. How can he be, somebody with this wisdom and be of a more spiritual, high understanding? He's the carpenter's son. We know his whole family, and they get into it. It says, is not his mother called Mary, and his brother James and Joses and Simon and Judas, and his sisters, are they not all with us? Whence then has this man all these things? All right. So Yahweh Shah was in there busting them down, man. And likewise, we come in the spirit of Yahweh Shai. So when we out there and doing our thing, it's not of us that do it, but Yahweh Shai that dwelleth in us. All right. So you people think that we're just average men who decided to get together and go out and teach the Bible or read the Bible when you have absolutely no idea how big this thing of ours is. And when I say big, I'm talking spiritually, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai. You got to ask yourself, you have all these men who came from different parts of this country coming together under one umbrella, if you will, all right, in one spirit. That's something to behold, man. And then to hold fast to the things that we teach and the things that we've been taught and the things that we believe. These characters that we see making their videos, they're not trying to go after the Ku Klux Klan and get on them. They're not trying to go after the Proud Boys and get on them. They're not trying to get after these militia people. Why not? Now all of a sudden, they're so concerned about saving people out of these cults. All right? All of a sudden, you're concerned about people joining the Hebrew Israelites. Why ain't you concerned about people joining the Ku Klux Klan? Where's the content for them? And the Proud Boys and all these other militia groups. Where are you on this? Where are you at with these guys? This is how you know this is of the Yahweh Shai. This is how you know this is the truth. The scriptures say, they hateth them that rebuketh in the gate. Right? Our forefathers did it in the ancient times, and we're doing it now in this times. As the scriptures say, the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. He who have ears to hear, let him hear that. Right? So most of you guys who are coming up with your crazy, conclusions and evaluations, you're wasting your time. And you're trying to get your shit off at our expense through the spirit of the Lord. You're trying to boast yourself at our expense. Sooner or later, the Lord's gonna cut you down, man. That's a quote from Johnny Cash's song. Sooner or later, gotta cut you down. But it's the truth. This internet thing ain't gonna go on forever. You people can't even look around and see what's actually happening around you. Lord's gonna get you, man. Let's continue on. This is 2 Ezra 14. Open it up. Go down to about, I started 20. Let me see. I started 25. Let me think. Let me look. Let me go. Give me a second here. I started 24. I started 23, and it says, "And he answered me, saying, Go thy way, gather the people together, and say unto them, that they seek thee not for 40 days. But look thou, prepare thee many box trees, and take with thee Sari, Debrea, Salmenia, Iconius, and Asil, these 5 which are ready to write swiftly. And come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thy heart. All right? And that's a point I want to make. He said, but come hither, and I shall light a candle of understanding in thine heart. All right? If the Lord hasn't lit that candle of understanding within you, you're not going to understand these things that we teach. I used to say, a scoffer's Rolodex is never empty. All right? A scoffer can just continue to just go on and go on and go on because there's no foundation in a scoffer. There's no order in a scoffer. So therefore, they can just run at the mouth, have diarrhea of the mouth, and just keep going. Well, why? You know how little children, you tell them, don't do that. I'm like, why? Don't do that. Why? They keep saying, why? That's what these scoffers are like when it comes to this truth. You're not going to understand it. Why? Because because the Spirit of the Lord ain't with you. That's why. Well, why is it with me? You see? But this is the beauty of it. And this is where the separation comes. Because the Lord, he's either going to light the candle of understanding in your heart or he's not. And for anybody who's on the outside of this thing of ours, clearly the Lord has not lit that candle inside of you. All right? Because when you come with all kinds of questions, in questions that are being answered, but because you don't like the answer, you keep asking the same goddamn questions. Continuing on. It says, which shall not be put out till the things be performed which thou shalt begin to write. All right? So again, when the writers came down, all right, with Esdras, they were ready to write swiftly. And when things came to pass, that's when they pretty much was done. If they prophesied about it, when you prophesy about the destruction of Babylon the Great, okay, and then when it finally gets destroyed, then that means that it's come to pass. That means we're not going to prophesy about the destruction of Babylon the Great because it's already been destroyed. Okay? But again, the point being made is, the Lord got to put the spirit of understanding in you. The Lord got to light that spark in you to receive the things that we teach. And the masses of you people in the world who are on the fence or who are teaching all types of madness, like a few of those other groups we can name, teaching total madness. And you know it's bad when the scoffers and scorners be laughing at you for the things that you're teaching. All right, let's continue on. Let's continue on. This is Matthew 19:28. And it says, and Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, this is a future prophecy right here, right? But the key word is regeneration. Now, Elder Apostle Gabal had made mention in his video, you have to understand what this means. You have to. Now, when he went in and gave a brief synopsis of the history, all right, it also entailed the reincarnation. Because going to Deuteronomy 28:36, it speaks about that king. And in order to understand who that king is, you got to understand the process of reincarnation. All right? And again, our scoffers and scorners are going to have a field day. because this is their job and this is their lot and this is what they do. Elder Apostle Gabar did a beautiful job giving a little bit of history, you know, and our scoffers and scorners are going to use that as a token to try to get more views and to bring more content to their page, but they don't really understand that they're heaping unto themselves destruction that's going to be laid upon them. All right? And as I said earlier, these dudes ain't looking to talk about anybody else. Nobody, no other group on this planet is being talked about by these groups but the Hebrew Israelites. You know, if we're so out of touch and out of tune, why are you people wasting your time? Why are you so concerned? Why is there video after video after video about the Hebrew Israelites if we're a cult? You know, when David Koresh and I was thinking with the Davidian camp there, whatever that was, if that was a cult, then we ain't got nothing. Okay, let them be. That's what they're doing. Let them be. Let them see you later. You don't see us going around talking about, yeah, we got to pull people out of the Davidian cult. We can't let them go over there. This is how you people are right now. So concerned about the so-called black man in America. So concerned about the so-called black woman in America and the Puerto Rican woman. You're so concerned. All right? You don't want them to join a Hebrew Israelite camp. So you make it your top priority to make a campaign of trying to pull members from different groups of Israelites. This thing is way above and beyond your understanding, people. Okay? You are natural. You are carnal. You are not going to understand the spiritual things. So therefore, you need to stay in your damn lane and mind your damn business and stick to the things that you know. All right? Stick to the things that you know and you're familiar with. All right, so I just want to touch on that. Lord willing, I'm going to see our brothers another one. I'm going to say shalom.